You've got to look past the odd timing and the Xperia Z1 to really appreciate it, but overall the Xperia Z2 is a flagship smartphone in its own right and heralds in the next generation for Sony. It builds on its predecessor with an improved screen, more power and a slightly more compact chassis, and very much has its work cut out for it, going head to head with the Samsung Galaxy S5 and HTC One M8. You'd be pretty hard pushed to tell the Xperia Z1 and Z2 apart, as they look almost identical with the same metal and glass body, giving a premium, if not slightly industrial feel. The slabs of glass on front and back add a touch of class, but they're also a magnet for fingerprints and dust. Still, it feels a lot more robust than the Xperia Z1 and Z1 Compact, which we found became scuffed far too easily. The bezels are also a little on the heavy side, making the Z2 taller than its predecessor, as well as the likes of the HTC One M8 and Galaxy S5. The chassis doesn't give a huge amount of grip either, and the angular design sits less naturally in the palm. Sony's done a lot of work in the screen department. Not only has the Z2 been bumped to 5.2 inches, but it's also been given the IPS treatment, making things look far more vibrant than the Z and Z1. Viewing angles are also leagues better than before, and although it doesn't quite pop as much as the Galaxy S5, the Xperia Z2 has one of the best smartphone displays around. With a powerful 2.3 GHz quad-core Snapdragon 801 under the hood and 3GB of RAM, you'll find general navigation around the Xperia Z2 fluid and lag-free. Sony's overlay sits over the top of the latest version of Android 4.4 KitKat and gives a far less dominating experience than, say, HTC Sense. Dive a little deeper into the display settings and you'll find the increasingly popular tap to wake function, allowing you to wake your display with a quick double tap. It feels a little half-baked compared to the likes of the LG G2's knock-on though, as you can't use the same function to put the phone back to sleep. The Xperia Z2 comes packing the most camera potential of 2014's flagships so far, with a 20.7 megapixel G-lens sensor on its rear, as well as a 2 megapixel lens around the front. The rear-facing lens is where Sony has piled in the tech. The G-lens pulls in more light with its wide-angle f2.0 sensor, which helps it perform better in dark conditions. It fares better than the HTC One M8 and Samsung Galaxy S5 in low light. However, some shots did come out rather muddy when the focus struggled to settle properly. Of course, there's always the flash to help you out, although the LED offering on the Z2 is quite aggressive and often leads to shots looking overexposed. The phone also features an exmor RS sensor that reduces noise in images to produce crisp, clear photos. The Z2 performs exceptionally well outside in good sunlight and is capable of picking out a huge level of detail. Things occasionally get sluggish when playing around with background defocus mode though, and you'll often have to wait around 5 seconds after pressing the shutter for the Z2 to process the image. Of course, the biggest feature Sony is pushing here is 4K video capture. Although the Galaxy S5 and Note 3 can both do this, the exmor sensor packed in the Z2 means Sony's handset does it better. It's not all good news though. A 3-minute 4K video takes up a whopping 1GB of storage, and considering you only have just over 11 gigs of a total 16 gigs to play with, you'll find this eating up space fast, even with the inclusion of a microSD slot. The Xperia Z2 benefits from an impressive battery life. It's not the market leader, but it is on par with the Galaxy S5 and HTC One M8, and comfortably beats the iPhone 5S. There's a 3200 mAh power pack on board, and with moderate usage, such as email, messaging, calls, web browsing, social networking and some camera action, you can easily eke out a day and a half of juice. If you're slightly more careful, the phone will see you through the good part of 2 days. It didn't quite match the performance of the Galaxy S5 and HTC One M8 in our tests, but it's still a solid performer and won't have you constantly worrying about the whereabouts of your charger. Sony also offers power management options like stamina mode, which disables mobile data and Wi-Fi when not in use to help you conserve power. Stamina mode can also restrict hardware performance in places, although this will make load times noticeably slower. The Sony Xperia Z2 is an excellent smartphone. It does everything you'd expect from a high-end device and provides a user experience that's pleasing rather than overbearing. The bezel-heavy design makes it a little overbearing in the hand though, and there were a couple of issues around 4K and other camera modes. Still, its premium design blows the Galaxy S5 out of the water, and its highly capable camera beats the HTC One M8 hands down. The main issue we have with the Xperia Z2 is there's nothing really to get excited over. It's a great all-rounder, but there's no curveball to keep things interesting. If you're looking for an all-round top performer, the Xperia Z2 is a great jack of all trades. Just don't expect too much more.